Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're gonna take a look at the new lost chapter that we received for the character Kain. And of course we're gonna be taking down the hardest fight for this lost chapter, and it is on the Proud Lands of Baron, Part 13, Hard Mode. So without further ado, let's start this video. So like always, let's start off with the weaknesses, resistances, and abilities of the boss, and in this case it is the Hill Wyvern. Now it has a weakness to wind element and actually has a weakness to physical range attacks as well. Next up is this resistance. It is resistance to fire, and as for its abilities, it has the fire magic attack, which is just a fire magic brave attack, which changes based on its level to fire, Firaga. Next is wind shot, which is a wind magic brave attack. This can also inflict initial brave down and speed down. Dragon Breath, which is a group fire magic brave attack, which also inflicts attack down and defense down. Next up, it has Headbutt, which is a single target melee HP attack. And then it has his specialty, which is the Dragon Range, which grants itself a max brave up, attack up, speed up to itself, plus it also increases its brave and grants itself a melee resistance. This also returns to normal once he has done an HP attack. Next up, it has Blast Wave, which is a group magic brave attack, Sonic Wings, which is a group melee HP attack, and finally it has Smelt Flame, which is a group fire magic brave attack plus an HP attack. Now, the Hill Wyvern actually has a few resistances to debuffs. It has a low resistance to poison, force, range resist down, and melee resist down, and has a high resistance to defense down and max brave down debuffs. So now that we know the abilities, weaknesses, and resistances of the Hill Wyvern, it's time to take a look at some general tips and guide. And the first one I have for you guys is to save about 60 to 70% of your abilities for the boss. Now, it's probably unlikely for you to save about more than that because the fourth wave is actually quite a tanky boss. So I would say you need to save about 60 to 70% of your abilities for each character, somewhere around that range. As for the next one is to bring in the boosted characters such as Kain, Lael, and Shan Toto. Other characters that you can consider to bring are Squall. Just a quick tip with Squall, he is a melee character which the boss can be resistance to. Squall is kind of good at the early stages of the fights because of his splash damage, but otherwise probably take him with a grain of salt. Next up is Terra Vaughn, Setzer, Irvine, Fujin, Beatrix, Laguna, Vincent, Sarah, Alice, Realm, or Waka. As for the healer slash brave battery options, obviously you have Kate, Sith, and Selphie are the top choices. Then you have Yuna, Lilith, Aerith, or Ishtola. As for the summon, as much as I would like to bring Ifrit, the boss is resistance to fire, so Pandemonium is the summon of choice, and of course you can have Bahamut as well. Now let's take a look at some general tips for the fight itself. Now the obvious one is do not bring any melee characters. Squall is probably the only best choice, and maybe even Leon because of their splash damage, but otherwise try not to bring any melee characters on this fight, especially if you feel like it's gonna stay on that Dragon Rage for a little while. its first move is Dragon Rage, so chances are melee characters are not gonna do well in this fight, especially if you let it have a turn. The next one is Chase is your friend. So honestly, if you guys are watching this obviously after the fact that we have passed this event where the banner for Lael disappears, then I can understand that you don't have his weapon. But if you do, if you are watching this video in 2 weeks time, I suppose that's the time span, then you should try and pull for Lael's weapon. And chasing is basically the new meta right now, and it's gonna save you a lot of turns, and it's gonna do a ton of damage over the boss, so definitely a good choice at the moment to start playing Lael. Now next up is actually using your summon pretty wisely. You can actually use it at the start of the fight to avoid Dragon Rage if you are bringing melee characters. However, if you do plan to obviously do some chasing, then try to aim for your Lael, I suppose. It's because he's the most common one to be in a good spot where you can do a lot of damage, especially with some Brave Battery as well. The last tip I have for you guys is to actually bring a debuffer and obviously a buffer as well. Now, debuffing the boss will actually save your life. Dragon Rage is not something to joke at, especially if it starts attacking you. It does have a lot of buffs to go with it, so if you can push off those buffs, then all the more power to you. Now, the boss actually does quite a lot of debuffs on you as well with Wind Shot and Dragon Breath, so the next best thing is obviously to have a buffer yourself to push this out. However, it's, you know, kind of obvious at this point. Other than that, the Heal Wyvern actually doesn't have any gimmicks that can sort of really pose any threat to you apart from Dragon Rage, which is kind of like not a gimmick at all because it's just a plain simple buff to itself. Okay, so now let's take a look at some possible party compositions that you may want to bring. Now first off is obviously going to be the synergy characters or the boosted characters such as Kain, Lael, and Shantoto. With this one, I do believe a Squall or Lael support with the Bahamut Pandemonium summon to be the choice. Squall, I put Squall there is just so you can clear the first stages quite quickly, but if you want you can bring Lael for double the chase, and obviously Bahamut is neutral, so he is quite helpful, and Pandemonium is the boss's weakness. Now for the next, I suppose, team that I would suggest is actually the one I use to get that 200,000 points, so which is Beatrix, Kate Sith, and Vaughn with the Lael support. I try not to use Lael as much as possible when it comes to these videos because I feel like it just makes it like super easy to get all the points, but to show you guys that you actually don't need Lael at this point in time to actually try and get that score, but you do need some very strong characters. Now obviously with the Lael support, that should be, I suppose, a forgiven. It should be forgiven because it is just a support character and not your own Lael. Now for the summon, I do have Bahamut and Pandemonium here as well. So yeah, the next one is gonna be the Lael Kate Sith selfie. I put Squall here as support, but you can obviously change it to Lael as well. This is sort of the meta team at the moment. You're definitely gonna get the 200,000 points to get all the rewards for this fight. Next up is something of an experiment I did. I actually cleared this fight with this team, Waka, Vincent, and Setzer with a Lael support, and of course Pandemonium summon. Now I didn't get a good high score, I got about 131,000, but if you're just willing to just, you know, do this for funsies, then this team can definitely do it as well. So we're finally here at the end of the video, and of course I'd like to give you guys my thoughts on this fight. to be honest, I found this fight to be on the easier side of the scale. I do feel with just all of the characters that we have available right now, especially Lael, and Lael being a boosted character in this particular fight, just makes this fight a lot easier. Now obviously if you're not planning to use Lael or you don't have him, you do have the opportunity to actually pull for his weapon for the next 2 weeks, I believe. And honestly, my advice to you guys is just try and get Lael's 35 CP weapon, and that should really help you out a lot for this fight. However, if you do not get the chance to do that, and if you are watching this video later down the track and you don't have Lael max limit broken, then all you have to do is actually just find a friend Lael and you should be able to beat this fight. Now obviously you need to have your Brave battery, plus you need to have a good DPS as well. Having two Brave batteries in this particular fight, especially with a friend Lael, is enough to pretty much kill the boss, as you guys can see here. Now Beatrix is not actually a Brave battery, but she is some sort of a pseudo Brave battery as well in her own right. So that just makes things a lot easier. And I think I will end the video right here, guys. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys what you think of this fight, and if you found this a lot easier or easier on the scale in terms of comparing it with other lost chapters. Let me know down in the comments down below, and make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.